Hey, Greg and Lori, nice to see you both.
Hey, hi
Hi,
guys.
hi, Victoria. Hi, Lori.
Hi,
Hi.
Greg. How are you doing?
Uh, I'm okay. I uh, feeling a little beaten down, but I'm okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
Sorry to have to do this on Zoom, right? But we're gonna just want to acknowledge kind of can be a bit awkward, but we're gonna do our best, right?
It's our new reality. Yeah.
Yeah.
okay. And Greg, after this, you and I are going to talk further, but we wanted to have a meeting, this meeting with Lori, because as you know, next week we have our support meeting. And
Right.
that's always the big one, right? That's the one that is often the most challenging for us to all to talk about. And Lori's had a chance to meet Fatima and her lawyer and get a sense of where they're coming from. And so this is really a chance for us to hear that, figure out what matters to you, and for us to be ready to have that meeting next week. Okay?
Okay.
Yeah.
Yep.
So, I guess just to start, Greg, I just want to understand a little bit about what is your biggest worry in all of this.
Hmm. Um, you know, I don't know how I got here. I don't know how I got to this place. 10 years ago, I was a successful executive. I was at the top of my game. Uh, Now I'm 56 and I've aged out for my industry. I've got no place to go. I'm feeling trapped.
Right.
I would never trade the time I spent with the kids. That was awesome,
Mhm.
but never expected this would happen. And I have no plan B, and it's quite frankly, scaring the shit out of me.
Right. And so we know that in this file, in this case, we know that support is needed and it's understood and it's expected. And this conversation is the awkward, difficult conversation around everyone understanding what everyone needs. And Fatima knows and understands that you need something to carry on in a decent life. You know her narrative, right? Her narrative is about being a workhorse, right? She's deeply worried that she's going to have to, work till the end of time. And, we don't want to end this case in her feeling resentful that she's, working till the end of time to properly help you. And we don't want to leave you feeling fearful and not okay. So I'm curious about what kind of message do you want to send Fatima in these negotiations? Because this is tough for you.
Well, I know what I'm tempted to send to the message. I'm tempted to send her.
That's
That's
our inside
that's
voice, and we're going to keep that in.
that's yeah, yeah.
That's the
I'm gonna
purpose of
use
this prep meeting.
yeah,
Good.
yeah. I oh man, I this is a woman I love. We have lovely children together. Um, it's hard for me because I feel like she's basically wrapped me up in a green plastic garbage bag and put me on the front step with the big B on it, so that Value Village will come and take me away and out of her life. But that being said, I never wanted her to work as hard as she's been working, and I that was a source of conflict and a source of frustration in our marriage, and I it would be hypocritical of me now to not acknowledge that. I think, and I don't. I this is the mother of my children. I don't
Right.
want her to die at her desk.
Greg, I'm going to ask you to harness that thought. And I'm going to cue you at some point in our next meeting to bring that in so that um, it is a great opening, actually, for us, you, to respond to her biggest fear first up in the meeting. So I just want you to just remember that thought, and because I want you to harness it, and I'm going to bring it back. But I also know, like, that you're leading with compassion there. I don't want her to die at her desk, and I've told her that. um, um, but I wonder what it's like for you, given that you have had to transition out of a big career, and now you're in a place where you need and have to ask for support, and what that's like for you.
I feel a little bit stupid
Hmm.
in the sense that I somehow I've allowed myself to be in a place where I don't feel like I have very many options or any options at all. I know when Victoria and I have met, I've talked to her about the fact that I feel trapped. Um, I am worried about uh, I'm worried about being able to support myself. I'm worried about being able to do the things with the kids that I plan to do with the kids. I am scared that I'm not going to find a reliable source of income that will be able to supplement or uh, that will be able to help me keep my standard of living up. I'm also I feel like the poor church mouse or the pauper who's coming to seeking handouts, and I have never asked for a handout ever in my life.
Right. You know, when I hear the words trapped, poor church mouse, where I go in my head is your ability to self-determine, to make good choices for yourself, to be in charge of your life, to have some independence. And in this situation, security, financial security is what's going to allow you to be able to properly self-determine. And so when we meet, I'm going to want you to talk about that. And also, that's one of the reasons that I wanted Victoria here today is I want her to be thinking and you and her to be thinking together about, okay, so trapped and poor church mouse and self-determination. What are our strategies going to be around how to present that and then present possible options, you know, sort of thinking about solutions about how to respond to that, right?
Right.
Because I would matter to you.
Sorry, Lori. So
Yeah.
I'm just wondering if I can summarize what I'm hearing matters to you, Greg. And I think that I know that it matters to you that Fatima doesn't think you're making her work. Right? You want her to also have some capacity for self-determination, right? That she's not resentful of you. I know that matters.
Is that true, Greg?
Yes, it is. It is.
Yeah, we've talked a bit about that. And I also know that you're caught a little bit, Greg, because at this stage of life, given the way things unfolded, you're very worried that you cannot possibly earn what she's earning or what you could have earned. Right? And you're worried, and I think you feel that you guys, as you go forward now at the rest of your life, should live some form of balanced living. You've had a long marriage and you've been partners in different ways, right? So, and you don't want to feel that you have your hand out or that you're beholden or that you're asking. That feels lousy.
I thought we were building something together, and I'm not getting the we built something together love from Fatima, certainly in conversations Fatima is going to work how she's going to work. Fatima has no control over how she works. She just does what she does, right? And I wished it was different during the marriage. I don't actually seeing it being different moving forward. But at the same time, I don't need more than what I need.
Okay. Okay. So that's an important piece, Greg, because I know you feel that Fatima has always worked her butt off and she'll keep doing it and she'll work a long time. And, right. Yeah. I think, Lori, correct me if I'm wrong, but my sense is Fatima wants the right to decide whether she does that or she doesn't.
That is her biggest worry, actually.
She may do it.
Yeah.
She wants the right not to if she chooses.
Correct.
So there's a couple, right? So there's a couple of ways that this can all get sorted out on the support side, Greg. And one is, and I think this is why she's afraid and why you're getting the resentment you're feeling from her, is that if you don't agree otherwise, you know, she could, you have an indefinite entitlement to support. It could be paid as long as she works at a good level. Okay, that's, if we don't agree otherwise, I think that's what her worry is. Lori, am I right? Is that where she's?
That's exactly it.
Yeah.
That's exactly it. Yeah.
So that would,
I'm not looking for her to ensure my lifestyle for the rest of her life.
Okay. So the thing that we can then be good to look at, Greg, there's another way to do that, which is to say either at a certain age, you're okay if she either stops working or pulls back or stops paying support, or we can say, you know what, we're going to have a fixed settlement, a certain amount for a certain time frame, or maybe a lump sum, or we're going to have a deal. And then you do what you choose to do in your life, and she chooses to work or not work or whatever, but you know what you're facing. And that one, if we do that, we need to make sure that the numbers work. She thinks it's okay to pay it and can commit to it, and you think it will give you a standard of living that you'll feel okay about too.
With all due respect to you, and I love you both, but this process has been brutal for me, and
Right.
I'm not interested in coming back at a later date. So
Right.
what I'm really interested in is something that's certain, that outlines what we're going to do. I don't really care if Fatima doubles her income or triples her income. What I need to do is to make sure that I've got a base amount that I can count on, that I can move forward from there. So the idea of I think was the latter that you talked about, the idea of a fixed amount and whether it's, I don't know how you structure it, but that's really what I need, and I need to figure out what I want to do when I grow up, because I'm heading into the last third of my life, and I know I'm going to have to find something to supplement the support from Fatima. I don't know what that is right now, but I need to have something to hold on to.
Right. So I think the other piece I've just heard, Greg, that matters to you is certainty, right?
Yeah.
You know what you're facing, you can plan around it, and you have the right to pursue your life as you see fit, and so does she. That matters. Okay, the autonomy sense, the certainty sense, and then our discussion is how do we structure it and what does it look like? But Lori, is that helpful?
That's exactly. And what I was thinking as we're having this high level discussion around what really matters, and, don't want to feel resentful, but I can't feel, trapped any longer. And it matters to me that you have an option, you, Fatima, have an option to self-determine, as do I. And I would love if in the team meeting, before we jumped into problem solving, Victoria, that we actually capture this in 5 or 7 minutes. And that, Greg, I'm going to kind of coach you to speak about this. And then, Victoria, you can kind of jump in and kind of grab onto those ideas, and then you can begin to, sort of talk about options.
Yeah, because it's a both and, right, Greg?
Yeah, exactly.
It's a both and. Like, I'm feeling, that I want this for each of us, and it has to be fiscally, financially workable and recognize our partnership. And then I will, with Fatima's lawyer, we can begin to generate ideas. And Greg, I'll connect with you to meet and talk in sort of numbers and more details to prepare for the meeting. But this was really important, Lori, to help us have a sense of where she's coming from and what structure we might want to be looking at.
Right. That's great.
Yeah. Okay. Greg, is there anything else you think we should cover right now, Greg, or is that good enough for right now?
I'm wondering, is it unrealistic for me to expect her to acknowledge the fact that our decisions have put me in this place?
Yeah, I think the whole reason we're actually having this discussion is because the contract you had in your marriage, you staying home for 10 years, that's actually why we're sitting here, right? Because it is actually a financial acknowledgement of it, but more importantly, it's a moral acknowledgement, right? And so while I can't promise you that will show up in the meeting, I know it's important to you, and I'm going to have these discussions with Fatima. Okay. And so I'm hoping it'll show up in the meeting. And if it doesn't, you and I will be talking about how to let that piece go. But I think, it is a both and, you acknowledging her fear up front might open her up to provide this acknowledgement. So we'll work on that. I think that's a fair ask.
Okay.
So thank you both. That was super good for us, for Greg and I now. Greg, we'll be in touch to schedule a time before the meeting to talk in more details about all of this stuff. Okay.
Okay.
Take care.
Thank you.
Bye, guys.
Stay well.
Bye-bye.
Bye.